Welcome to the Batman Book Club's One Bad Month, where we're taking a closer look at the recent series of books, One Bad Day, one book at a time. This episode, we're diving into the Two-Face story, A Great Men. Joining me once again for this 8-part adventure is my partner here, P-Thug, Paul Hermann from the Comic Binge. Hello, Paul.
Hi. How you doing?
Great. Paul had to flip a coin to decide if he was going to join me on this one or not. So hopefully...
Yeah, I didn't. I already dropped out.
Thankfully. Already dropped out. So then he did it again. He was like, okay, I'm good.
He kept doing it.
Paul and I, as you hopefully heard just a few days ago, the first part of this One Bad Month that we're doing, the Riddler dropped. And Paul and I, we aimed to be a little quicker, but I mean, we just couldn't do it. One, we like talking to each other. And two, there was a lot to discuss with that Riddler story.
I think there's a lot more to discuss with Riddler than I think with this. Not saying that, again, not a detriment to this.
I almost said that at the end of recording the last one too, of like, I don't think that Two-Face has as much depth, but I was like, nah, I'll save it for that episode. I'll save it for that episode.
Yeah, now we wasted it.
Yep. There we go. So let's just dive in then. All right.
Okay,
let's do Batman, One Bad Day, Two-Face, #1. Like, that's okay. First of all, that's what makes me laugh too. Is I know marketing, you got to slap Batman on a book, but then it's like, hey, what's this book? It's called Batman, One Bad Day, Two-Face, #1. But the story's called A Great Men. It's like, oh my gosh, come on, people. Let's just One Bad Day, Two-Face. There you go. That's all it's got to be. One Bad Day, Two-Face. But anyways, this was released in September of 2022, written by Mariko Tamaki, with art by Javier Fernandez. This is available, obviously, the Prestige physical formats. It's also released digitally. It's been re-released in a hardcover collection. It's available on DC Universe Infinite. Paul has the hardcover. And because of that hardcover release, it is available on my favorite app of all time, Hoopla. Paul Hermann, what version did you read? I'm going to find a theme here as we make our way through this, but I gotta ask.
Well, and if you listen to the first episode, you'll know that I have always the hardback with the box set. I'll save the story for the other episode. So I read it on this, and I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever read these on digital. The materials they made this on the book. It's a beautiful looking book. They're all, regardless of if I like them or not, they're beautiful. They are beautifully done.
And I mentioned last time that because I actually haven't seen these yet. At the point of this recording, I haven't seen these in person, these hardcovers, but it seems like the artist for each book, their cover is the main cover, and on the back is the Brian Bolland variant cover, which of course looks cool. So, I mean, that's a good added bonus for hardcover. I'm a hardcover fiend. I love hardcover, but I read my physical issue that I picked up in September of last year because I haven't double dipped. And I'm with you on if I need to for some reason on Hoopla, I will check it out to grab screenshots or something like that. But I mean, I have the physical copies right here. It smells delicious. It smells like a comic book. The art works better on I think sometimes you can see that digital transfer, and I'm like, I think it looks rougher and grittier and better handheld and like physically. And also, I kind of prefer always. I love the convenience of digital, but if I can go physical. That's the way. Let's get physical.
Let's get physical.
Paul, this is another trend too. When did you first read this book?
I read this last weekend. The week after I read the Riddler story, when I knew we were preparing for this, and I'll be honest, Two-Face is always a very interesting villain for me, but I read this a couple weeks ago, and I kind of went in not like lackluster, but I just wasn't as excited about reading this because I didn't hear about this one at all. So I wasn't as excited. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I'm learning your ways, Ryan Lauer. So
Paul hated this. So there you go. The end.
All right, the end. Short episode, y'all.
This is fun.
All right. No, I read it a few weeks ago. So, and I meant to read these recently, but life is busy, bro. You get it.
I hear you. No,
last weekend. I want to make sure I read it last weekend and had just go ahead.
Still fresh.
Yes,
so fresh and so clean. That's 2 lyrics of songs I've dropped so far. I'm gonna get fined. I first read this in September of last year, much like with the Riddler, much like probably everyone going forward. I'm going to say the same thing. I read it when it first came out. Pete and I talked about it that month for the wrap up episode.
Sure.
Tra la 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 la. So, Paul, you're the guest.
Okay.
I want to ask you general overall thoughts of this Two-Face story.
Man, I will, again, for those who don't know, I have only read these two, the Riddler and Two-Face. And I read Riddler first, and if you listen to the previous episode, I said I thought it was a masterpiece. So I was going into Two-Face being like, okay, it's probably gonna be a letdown, and it's not gonna be as good. And it's hard for me. For those who don't know, I love that Riddler story so much. It'd be hard to measure up to that. I gotta tell you, I love this Two-Face comic.
No, my goodness. There we go.
Two-Face comic is it's a lot. It's not meaty. It's not as meaty as a Riddler one, but it's interesting. And I can't wait to dive a little bit into it with you on this one. But before I throw it back to you, I gotta tell you, I didn't like it as much as a Riddler one, but I think the Riddler one had a lot more. There's a lot more deep. Like we had a 45-minute episode on it, right? There's a lot more deeper stuff on that one. This one's not as deep, but I still really enjoyed this one a lot, way more than I thought I was going to be quite honest.
I like this one. I don't love it. Okay. I'm with you. I don't think there's as much depth. I think it's almost a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah, I agree.
There's Riddler. There were still some layers and threats and some horror to it all. Whereas when you as you make your way through this book, it's like Two-Face is just kind of being Two-Face without being Two-Face. Wait, what? I know. He's trying to fool as if he's Harvey Dent. And it's just kind of, the story's just kind of going, it's just like, yeah, it's just going. And then they slide this threat of he's, that your dad's basically in danger if you go through with this party for him. And he wants Batman to look into it. And then it's just kind of like you just hear Batman and unique selection, and I think a respected selection of sidekicks in basically Agreed. Oracle. Yeah. It's Barbara being Oracle, and then Stephanie being Batgirl, and then Cass being Batgirl. I mean, Stephanie being maybe spoiler. I don't know. I forget. But she's in her purple and black. And them just telling each other that, yeah, I didn't find anything on this threat. And then when it's revealed the threat at the end, it's not necessarily surprising because it's like the book's called, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, it's Two-Face. And it's not necessarily surprising because it's just like, well, the book is called One Bad Day, Two-Face. And it was Two-Face. I don't know. It's just a little like, okay, that's it. And then going through it, I just don't feel like there isn't a deeper dive into Harvey Dent, really. It's they kind of talk about his dad, who's named Harvey Dent Sr., and yet a lot of point of reference is Christopher Dent from that Batman Annual number 14 that you hear about, who was like an alcoholic and beat Harvey and stuff. None of that's present in this story.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like in the end, I think it's fine. I do enjoy it. I don't think there's a whole lot to it. And it surprises me just a little bit. The book flow is very fluid, though, because Tamaki's an awesome writer. And if anybody wasn't listening, I know Pete and I did a lot on our wrap-ups. We talked about when Tamaki was on Detective Comics, and her run was awesome. She's a great writer. This, I don't want to say is a letdown. It was just like, fine. I don't think this is the goal is to make these like, each villain's gonna get their killing joke, and I guess it's really hard with Two-Face because like he has his, and it's called The Long Halloween. Paul's favorite.
Oh, great. Here we go.
So there's my. I tried. I suck at it. Like trying to condense it down really quickly. Of your thoughts, and I think I've gone for like 5 minutes now. Where I'm I think it's fine. I don't have any nitpicks, but it's just like it's also just fine to me.
Man, you and Ryan, you were right. We could fill an hour. No,
yeah, I know. I know
about anything, tough. Right? But with this one, I'm going to keep it pretty concise because here's what I'm going to say.
Have at it.
one thing I appreciate about this story particularly, and I kind of got, I'm only 2 issues in, and I've talked to some people who've read these issues before, like I think Javier talked a little bit about, and I gather that they're not just one for one bad day, like the Killing Joke. The Killing Joke is kind of like a loose, like kind of like a loose premise of idea, and then the writers have the kind of the will, or the freedom to go and kind of elaborate and do some artistic license, like we did with this one, like with the Riddler, right? This one probably, from what I understand, and I haven't read the other ones yet, from what I understand, this is probably the one that takes the most artistic license overall with that concept of one bad day. Because, like you said, it's not just already been overdone in Long Halloween of the origin of Harvey, and also from like all of these, the Batman animated series, which I think is the definitive Harvey Dent origin, in my opinion.
Great two-parter.
Phenomenal. That was my introduction to Two-Face, by the way, was that animated series.
There you
go. Because he hadn't, because the Forever hadn't come out yet, and I only had seen him like peripherally a little bit, like I'm a big Dark Knight Returns guy, and he's like not really in the Dark Knight Returns. He's just Harvey Dent in the bandages, right? So I've always like Two-Face, but his origin's pretty cut and dry. He's prosecuting, he gets stuff thrown on him, and he gets traumatized, and he's like, it's very, there's not a lot to him in that origin of a one bad day, right? So I think when you're doing the rogues, you have to have some artistic license to that, and I think this is where I think I really liked where was it Tamaki? Tamaki went. I remember hearing you guys rave about her, actually, her run before, and I'd never, I just hadn't gotten
to it.
Yeah, and I picked this up and went, oh, I think this is that girl, I say that lady, who wrote Detective, and I love this issue. I thought it was great, and you said you had a great point. It flows so well. And the one thing I'm going to say that I think is interesting about the concept of one bad day is it's not so much Harvey's one bad day. It's like he wants to make someone else's one bad day. And I think it's because in his deranged mind, he's like, I'm going to turn my dad into myself and make him be who I am, because we're going to connect better that way. That's my birthday present to him, because I want to connect my father the same way I am. And the way we're going to do that is by bring out that other evil side of him, is by making him like me. And that to me is what I interpreted it from, because like I said before, in Riddler, this is more of like not just one bad days and origin stories. And like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory what happens to Harvey. This is almost like a reimagining, or again, rejuvenation of the character, and kind of revamping them in a sense of like kind of, reintroducing it to the people who don't know the character. Because all the way through, this is a classic Two-Face kind of story. It's like Harvey and Two-Face are at it together or against each other, but they also have a twisted connection of like, again, he didn't want to kill his dad, he wanted to make him like himself, and that was his birthday present. It wasn't just like, I want to kill him all. It felt very much like, in a twisted way, Two-Face was trying to make his dad like him, and that's that one bad day concept, like that whole idea of all I have to do is just do this one thing to you, and you're going to turn into me, because we'll connect to me better. That's what I interpret.
So with that, because there was me thinking about this as well. So what's his justifying? Why does he want to? And I'm like, okay, so you get some of that backstory in Annual 14. And again, I know that I said with the Riddler recording with us of critique this on its own, but I was like, okay, but why? We don't get much on. Okay, so take the Riddler then. We get backstory of the father-son treatment. Here, it's almost like you learn it towards the end a little bit of like, because he couldn't see past, he couldn't see what was right in front of him, and like the truth staring you in the face. He wanted, he wanted a piece of the past that never was, an image untouched by scars. So it's saying this whole like, I'm his son and half my face is scarred and whatnot, but it's like, we don't really get that prior to any of that. We see his, what would you say, his mother-in-law, I guess, Deirdre, where she just says to herself when Harvey leaves his dad's house, she's like, I wish he could get surgery to fix his face, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
it. And then there's like almost a little bit of a disconnect of what's the point? Like, what is he holding that he wants to do this to his dad? Because he says too, and I mean, it's effective, of course, because like, oh, damn, the son even, he's like, good, now the inside matches the outside. But
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
just don't get much context on the inside that's so bad. And then, kind of out of nowhere, says Deb Donovan, the reporter, character brought up and created by Tamaki for the detective run.
Cool. Cool.
She dug up that there was trying to delete Deirdre's DUIs. And I was
Mm.
kind of like, that's it. So for a moment, even in reading it, I'm like, so is this whole he's trying to cover up that his wife has DUIs? That's the reason for the scarring? Like that seems a little like anticlimactic in a
I,
sense.
I don't think, see, to me it's that's just like a very loose, like, that to me is more of a symbolism, or
Mm-hmm.
that there's deeper things there. It's not meant to be, this is the definitive, like, this is why he's like this, because these are great moments that I think that Tamaki had done, where she says, she writes, he goes, what have you done to me? And Harvey, Two-Face's response is, you always want to be remembered. And then he says, this is our legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I freaking love that. That to me is Two-Face. He's like, Dad, like, you want to be remembered. And I'm remembered. That we're dense. You know what? This is our legacy, like our legacy. I love that. And I think, to me, the whole one bad day concept is embodied here, because he's like, you're, you know, we are these evil things on the inside. That's the whole idea of the one bad day concept, right? And that we're all dirty in some ways or another. And I think there's reality to that. I really do. I don't want to get super deep and get a 45-minute episode again, but just, I do think it's all there. I think those are, again, valid criticism, but I do
Sure.
think I think it's meant to be more of like, this is just one thing that's just there. There's other things that are there. But to me, there's strong storytelling here with Harvey just being, and Two-Face being, I should say Harvey, but Two-Face saying, this is, you are a part of me. We are family. So you have to be, in order for you to be like me, and to be this, not just like to show the scars on the outside of who you are, but this is how you're going to be remembered. And this is how our legacy. It's not just my legacy, it's our legacy. Like Two-Face wants it to be not just him, but the people that's close to him, like himself.
We'll see. I'll reread
Well,
these and hopefully I can get as much out of that as you have. Again, now this comes off as, I know I'm not used to sounding like as if I'm this critical. And it's coming off of like back-to-back episodes now. This if I'm super critical of these
this is
things. It's
good.
like
This is good.
these are just in reading it and then reading it again, but like more aware, I guess. I don't know. Like I'm more focused on the second reading, I guess, of like, okay, really try to focus on this is working, maybe this isn't. And the justifying at the end just doesn't sit with me as being much. It's
Well,
just okay.
well, well, think about this too. One of the aspects I love about the animated series version was that Bruce and Harvey were friends, and that's kind of been retconned and more morphed into
Sure.
over
Mm-hmm.
time, right? To me, what I loved about this is Batman's heart is evident in this story, which is
Great
missing in,
transition.
yeah, thank you.
Because
And that's how
that's
I
what I
do it.
was gonna say too, is I do love that of you even get some time where I mean you get a bit of a flashback and it's Batman and Gordon and
Mm-hmm.
how their belief of like no Harvey's still there, there is still Harvey, and as long as there is an out like a glimmer of Harvey hope, they aren't going to give up. And you
Yeah.
referenced the animated series a few times, and like Bruce does that in that show
Mm-hmm.
also. Like he's always like, "We'll get Harvey back. There's hope," and he's hopeful, and I like that a lot because that is Batman. Batman is
Right.
hopeful. He's not just like, "Oh, you're bad. I'm gonna kill you."
Right.
Listen to the last episode, Riddler. Anyways, but something that I think is well an interesting note. I do like um because the story of Two Face has always been full of twists and turns. Little hush flashback. Moments of allyship we all hoped would last. Moments when we saw the man we knew Dent to be, only to turn back into the monster we fear again and again. The man who has been our ally and adversary, unsurprisingly, does have many enemies. Quick flash of Carmine Falcone, who has 3 scratches. Good nod to year 1 and The Long Halloween.
I know.
Then we see the Joker, and then it's interesting that they mention Lockup.
Yeah, that was
and they
weird.
show a picture of Two-Face.
Yeah, that was weird. I had to look up who Lockup was, and I'm like,
he didn't get a ton of airtime, but I mean, massive, like nerds like us that rewatch animated series over and over. We know who that is, but yeah, I mean, they mention Lockup, but they show a picture of Two-Face. Then you go to the next page and they talk about Montoya, and they show Montoya. So it is like, wait, why didn't you draw Lockup? I'm just, okay. And then Lockup's quite a choice. Lockup's quite a pull. Also, the other ones have legacies, and then Lockup.
Because it's funny because I was so confused by this panel. I'm glad you brought that up because I remember thinking, is Lockup like another Two-Face or something? And I looked up and so I Googled him up and I went, what the hell? Yeah. I was very confused. So
okay,
you're not wrong. Like, you're not wrong. Like, it was a little weird.
The flashback with Officer Nakano, who then becomes Mayor Nakano, also a Tamaki holdover from her Detective Comics run. So there's a little nugget for you, Pete. Right. Paul. Oh my gosh, Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Hey, I'll take Pete. I love Pete. I frolic.
that a boy. Thank you.
I got you back.
Get on the frolic train, Pete. He does. He just, for some reason, he's resistant.
He's prideful.
There are moments that I thought this Two-Face made me think Aaron Eckhart from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
I liked it. A strength of this issue is the build up to the basically to the incident when I think and I can just see this actually this book being influenced by The Dark Knight. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up again. Because
it makes sense, right?
I can see that fast cutting of when Commissioner Loeb and Judge Cirillo and then Harvey Dent, and it's cutting between the 3, and then it's like the judge dies, then Loeb dies, and then it cuts to Joker coming to get Harvey. It's like that build up and that ramping up, and it starts with Stephanie seeing the balloon, just the one balloon outside of the elevator, and then it's like and then like the remaining pages, I think it's just done really, really well. And maybe that's a big part of like the fluidity that I mentioned of. And then it is just like they're slowly discovering, wait, something's not right, and then wait, this isn't right, and then Batman of like, wait, the two police officers, they took him out. Hey, get to this. Oh, we can't. Like, it just kind of ramps itself up to the reveal, and I thought that was done really well.
Before we move on to the next thing, I'm just going to say this really quick.
Please do.
I think what we also have to remember and take into account for these stories, especially all of them, even Killing Joke, the exception, but hear me out. I do think these are meant to be stories for new readers in a sense, to where they can go straight to and learn about these characters. And I think, like, I'll be honest, if someone said, I want like if I really want to learn about Batman, I'd give him, I'm not sure, I haven't read all of them, but I 100% of the 2, I would say, like, if you want to learn about, this is a fun, like, this is not a deep read, and this would be a great learning about Two-Face, because you get the origin, it's quick and dirty, and not only that, it's a great characterization of what makes Two-Face work as a villain, in my opinion. It's a good, solid story. So
I'm with you. Like, Batman's also a little, he's more hopeful in this, and you already mentioned hopeful.
Yeah, I love that.
More so than like the Riddler one. Almost just seems like that's dark, almost like,
but
deadly Batman. Almost. I say
that
word.
Right, but I think the difference is that he understands what he sees the transition that Enigma is doing, and with this, he almost is trying to see through. He sees, or he doesn't see. He's being blinded by his own care and love, which is very rare for Batman, and that's different. And it's a much, and again, same character, and it makes sense because he has feelings for Harvey in a sense of like he's his friend. He wants to believe that he can be good, and I think That's what makes it so much interesting. Whereas he knows Enigma is gone, baby. Like that dude's like he's done.
He gone.
He's gone. He's doing evil things. So yeah, I do think these stories, and Riddler too, I think too, obviously, but like this is a great story to give to a new Batman reader, in my opinion. Of the two, this one so far is a slam dunk. Like I want to learn about Batman, like some of his villains. Here, this is a great easy read.
I think that's a good point, because these One Bad Day stories, I think, should be, and maybe were aimed to, anybody could pick them up and read them.
Yep,
somebody sees these on the shelf at Barnes and Noble, they could just grab one and there's no extra baggage.
Nope.
In short. Yeah, and I'm with you on maybe somebody wanting a Riddler story could maybe be a little disappointed with the Riddler book because, hey, it's missing a bunch of like riddles. I thought that's what he did. Sure. This, I don't know. Yeah, sure. I guess it's missing twos and doubles, but I mean, it's Two-Face. His face is split and he's flipping a coin.
Yeah, that's Two-Face.
Like, Two-Face to me.
Yeah, there's not much you need, and I think it's a perfect Two-Face story because again, you have like Harvey conflicting with Two-Face, like he's himself, and like that's the beauty of it. And there's that it's not like a deep story, but it's an effective, and I think you said it earlier too. It is a straight ahead, like just well paced, and that's what Miyake is. I'm sorry, Tamaki. I was really impressed with her storytelling because her pacing was just on like just super precise.
Yeah. So I have my my critiques that hold me back from loving this story, but I mean I also have, I think, my compliments to her on how she keeps the story going, and there aren't like big holes to pick. It's just kind of seems like with some of the buildups, there isn't a big wow, that's what's supposed to work. It's more so just like, oh, okay, you're looking for a big splashy firework and you kind of just got a firecracker. It's like, oh, it's still banged.
How about a Roman candle?
Wordage. There you go. A Roman candle. Okay. Roman. Boom. Carmine Falcon. The Roman. It's all connected. Boom. Nailed it. Wow. Really quick.
Yep.
Javier Fernandez.
Dude,
his art.
I
think it's a little like, not grimy per se, a little gritty, which fits. I think Two-Face stories, I almost feel like, so the back of your hardcover of Bolland, that's almost too pretty and neat for Two-Face. I like the little bit dirtier. Yeah, like the front. I just feel like that fits it. That fits it more. That fits Two-Face more because it is a little bit more of like his voice, as from the Long Halloween animated movies. That's 3 times mentioned Long Halloween. Josh Duhamel does such a great, like, I can't even do it, like, deep scratchy voice. Big Bad Harv in the animated series has such a deep, like, gravelly voice. It just all works together for a Two-Face story. So I think Fernandez, his art was really well. Jordi Valair, which master colorist, assisted in that look with the coloring. So 2 for 2 for sure on art for One Bad Day.
Oh, for sure. And I think that the coloring is just so again, it's not completely, it's totally different from what the Riddler one was, but it feels like more of a traditional comic book of, as far as like
a little bit,
comic book. But it's not a bad thing because I think there's a lot of TLC brought to the coloring is really dynamic and interesting. And it's different from the previous one. There's lots of reds. It's more.
Yeah.
The reds are, but it's not like, the reds are more, they're brought in different times. So it's not like, whereas in the last Riddler story, there's overall green, a green tint for most of the stories. It's not backstory. Whereas this is, it's mostly traditional coloring, like nothing, but that way. But then as it gets later on, there's that red tint over everything that we get right here, which is really interesting. A really interesting artistic license, I think. So, yeah, the art, I was really impressed. I was really impressed with the art. I thought this was really, really good, like awesome art. So, layouts were fantastic.
Very happy with it. Paul, let me ask you.
Yes.
Yes, you've got a question?
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is it's really stupid, but I'm just gonna say it. It's just,
okay.
It's this 4-page. I say stupid, but it's not stupid. But at least I don't think so.
Now you said it was stupid, so we're gonna hold you to it.
Fine.
How stupid is it?
It's again for the audio listeners, I'm sorry, I'll tell you, but it's just 4 panels here, and it's just Javier. Basically, it's Dent throw or Harvey Two-Face, I should say, throws someone off of a building. Batman goes to save him, and there's no sound effects other than the guy yelling in the first page or the first panel, and then the last panel of the 4 panels is a click of Harvey pointing a gun as Batman's basically saving this person's life and is trapped of like Harvey about to shoot him. So it's beautifully done because it's Batman being Batman, and it's also Harvey being Harvey, because Harvey's like, I'm gonna throw this guy off a cliff and I'm gonna trap you right there. It's just genius. I'm like, damn, like, and the way Javier does it, and it's not just like 4 like grid panels, like burr, 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 burr. It's again, it's like it's meant it's like the panels are lopsided.
Yeah,
It's just, again, it's fun. Like it
little
really
style.
Yeah, it's not just, and again, I love straight panel grids, like with gutters and things like that. Like this is a total, really interesting, fun like way to do it, and I love this. I thought it was a beautiful layout, and I just love this part, and it just shows you how smart Two-Face is in the moment. So like he's not just a big idiot. So
on that page too, Batman looks at the bottom. I think that's really close to the Hush Batman symbol, but then Mikhail Yanin, Mikhail J, he did some of King's run of Batman. It looks very much like his Batman. Okay. For me, I think it's right before the middle of the book. We get the Batcave, so maybe a quarter of the way through.
Oh yeah, with the origin, isn't it?
Love the Batcave, because on the right side
gorgeous.
also is the Tumblr. It's an original Batmobile on the left. I've never seen that design before, all the way to the left, and I think it looks a little bit like the 89 one.
Yeah,
deep in shadow, but the one on the right, I mean, Tumblr's hard to miss. Yeah. But I mean, it's a Batcave. Give me a good Batcave. Batman's up doing his Batman thing in the cave. I love it. Give me that all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I just screwed that up. I asked you favorite part, and I just gave you my favorite panel. So now let's flip it, Paul. What's your favorite panel?
Easy. It's a splash page. It's this bad boy. This thing.
Oh, Harvey's face.
This is a gorgeous.
His face is like melting off,
and the colors. Oh my god! And not to, and I hate to say runner up, but the second splash page where he's pointing a gun at Robin, it's again super dynamic, and I love. I love the narration. I mean, narrations are overdone in comics. This is not like a detriment on Tamaki by any means, but this is reality. But with the boxes over it and like the picture, y'all, if you're watching this live, if he puts it on here, it's just a splash page of his melting face. It may be one of my favorite Two-Face images ever. It's freaking phenomenal. This is a beautiful picture.
Yeah, good call. It's really effective. So then I will flip and now say my favorite part is the build up to Harvey basically serving the cake to his dad. So everything that I just mentioned, like 10, 15 minutes ago, about since that one balloon popping out of the elevator all the way up to I think it's just paced really well. I like that.
It is
a lot.
Very well. Word.
Would you like to see this story adapted in animation? No. Okay. All right. For all the reasons last episode, let's just say same here. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've just gotten such good ones in animation with Two-Face already. And I don't know. This is good on its own. I think I'm with you.
Yeah, two-parter for the animated series is like the GOAT. Like it's maybe the best definitive Two-Face story ever, maybe.
Watch it, in my opinion.
Hey,
watch it.
You heard me.
I'll cut your mic.
No, but I do think that we already have that. We're good, and I think this comic stands on itself. And again, for people who want to get other people into comics or Batman comics, I think this is a great. It's a good soft introduction. Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you. What would you grade this?
I want to give it an A, but I really liked it, so I'm gonna probably say a B plus. I like this a lot. Is it a A is like borderline masterpiece for me.
I want to give it an A, but I really liked it, so I'm gonna drop it to a B+.
It's just not quite as impactful as the Riddler, but it's still I like this a lot. Yeah. So
I'm at a B.
Yeah,
I think the Riddler one was a little deeper, so even my hesitancies with that story, there's a lot to chew on with that one. There's not as much to chew on this one, but I still think that this one's entertaining.
Absolutely,
and it's good. And both of them, I mean, as far as so far, are fantastic.
Art's
so
2 for 2, baby.
A little sneak peek, Paul. So I feel that even though I've liked these two, I've been pretty thus far. I've seemed maybe a little critical on them. That's gonna change soon.
Okay. I'm excited. Okay. I haven't read any of them yet, so we'll see.
Paying attention at home, the next one is going to be the One Bad Day Penguin story. Ooh. So that'll drop here in a couple days as well. So prep for that one. Not for
Dugan's free. He's free.
Right?
Who's
Ridley did this one?
Yeah. Who did it?
John Ridley.
Oh, John Ridley. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell
yeah. There you go. There's your keys for what's coming up next. So until then, Paul, why don't you go and tell them where do they follow you?
Okay, yeah, Twitter, Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug. YouTube, Comic Binge. Please go subscribe there. We're gonna have a Alpha and Omega one bad day episodes when we release this. So check that out on YouTube. Coming up soon.
Boom. I'll keep it short and sweet as well. Twitter, Instagram at the Batman BC. Also subscribe to the Batman Book Club YouTube channel. And then also be a kind soul, if you will, and help rate and review the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. The more reviews the show gets, the more it helps spread the word. And as Paul and I both know, the word is panic. So Paul, thanks for coming back on again. We're a quarter of the way done.
All right.
There you go. Already. Boom. Let's keep it going. So for Paul Hermann, I am Ryan Loward. Until next time, read my Batman comics.